change things within the context of the song, because you can easily go on the computer and just slow a beat down, or speed one up, or being able to on the fly adjustments.
Right.
So I mean that's obviously there as well. I was talking to another artist last week, Rochelle Royale, I should say, who is working with Pro Tools. She's becoming, she's not only an artist, she wants to, help, on her end to be able to become a producer. So she's been spending her time during the pandemic learning Pro Tools, which is I think what you were thinking about earlier. So, yeah.
I don't know the name, so.
Yeah. How's it been working with you mentioned, just, having the ability to coach with a producer and all that as well. I mean, tell me a little bit about just working on the album with the producer and, getting these songs down.
Well, so, we, when me and my co-writers write, we do, a work tape, and I send it in to my producer before I go into the studio, a couple weeks, and he's got an amazing bunch of studio musicians that just, I don't know, it's almost like they've played your song 1,000 times, when you get in there. And he sends it to them, and then one of his guys, his name's Danny, he's an amazing guitar player, and he plays several, I think he plays a little bit of banjo, guitar, dobro. He does all of that kind of sound for the music for my producer, PT. And he gives it to him, and basically he kind of comes up with what the melody in the actual instrumentation is going to be, how that's going to sound, what the solos are going to sound like, what's driving it. And as we get in, when I show up and we get in the studio, we all go through it, kind of walk through it, listen to the work tape, everybody's marking their parts, and we talk about tempo, we talk about key, and just being able to collaborate with the studio musicians at that time, saying, this is the sound I'm looking for, and then allowing them to be creative. And what I found is that if I allow other musicians to have their creativity in it, I end up liking it better than what I had in my head. But what's cool about my particular producer is, like, his wife and I have become pretty good friends. She does all my photography while I'm there, and she'll get up and dance in front of me if she has to get me, kind of more energetic. So I've never had anybody do that to where they're like, you're kind of sluggish here. And she actually will stand on the other side of the window. And when I was doing Little Rock Famous, she was dancing the whole time I was singing the song, so that I would smile and you could feel the energy come through it. So if you get a chance to listen to that song, you'll know that was going on in the studio. But like I said, just being able to sit there and then do all of that, and then go into the sound box and the vocal booth and be able to, okay, we're going to go ahead and count it off. And they're playing live while I'm singing at the same time. And it's literally like they have played the song 1,000 times. It's that good. I mean, it so impresses me. I mean, I'm a vocalist, and I know sometimes when I sing things, people are like, oh my gosh, I'm so impressed. I'm like, no, if you heard these guys, they can just pull the song that obviously is new, because it's not like anything they've ever heard before, because it's original. So it's not out there. It's not, and to make it radio ready, to where people that are listening to top 40 tunes or whatever can sit there and go, that's a great song, and that sounds like it was very well produced, and, being able to do things like that. And my particular producer, once I leave and come back home, he'll send me different things he's done to it, because he goes back and listens to it, and he's like, hey, I think we needed this instrument on it. What do you think? So in Cranking Up the Crazy, he had Danny come back in and do another instrument on it, and I want to say it was the banjo in the background. So, and I was like, did you add that? He was like, yeah, I felt like it needed to be fattened up with a different instrument in there. And I was like, it just made it that much better. So I love going in the studios with the guys that I'm with, which I'm with Off the Road Studio right outside of Nashville. It's in Franklin, and they're wonderful. I mean, they're great people to work with, and I've done 10 songs with them so far. So, and I've been nothing but happy.
Tom, I mean, you have a video coming out for one of your songs right now. I mean, was this the first time that you've ever had a music video out, or have you released on any videos out before?
I had several videos out. So Little Things, we are actually shooting this Sunday. We were supposed to shoot it 2 weeks ago, but we had 15 inches of snow last week. Of course, it's 75 degrees outside today. But we had 15 inches of snow up until, Sunday, Monday of this week. And then the week before that, we had ice. And so we were unable to film. So we're filming this Sunday, and we're going to try to get Little Things out probably within the next week and a half. It'll be released on my Vivo channel. But if you go to YouTube and you put in Pamela Hopkins Vivo, Vevo, you'll see my former music videos. I've got one out for my song that was my single in 2019 called Forever. And then I have one for Crank Up the Crazy, one for Little Rock Famous, and one for Somebody Here's Walking. So this will be my fourth video. And I've got lyric videos out there too, but this will be my fourth actual music video, official music video for the song.
How's it been, doing these music videos, and is it it's got to be kind of fun to be on set, to be able to shoot these music videos?
It's a lot of fun. I work with one specific videographer who's a good friend of mine named Sharp Dunaway here in Arkansas, and he's done every video of mine, and I work with him and his wife, Angela, and we sit down pretty much with the song, and we do kind of like a storyboard for it, and we figure out what elements we need and what we're doing. And being a part of that creative process is very important to me, and it's also a lot of fun to me because I'm like, well, here's what I envision, here's what I see when I'm hearing my song. And they just bring it to life, and this last time that we did Somebody Here's Walking, Sharp called me over to his house. He's like, hey, I've got your video almost done. I need you to come view it and tell me what you think. So I need to, so he allows me to even be in there on the edit, okay, and I like this angle and this angle, and so we had to change a few angles this last time because I don't like the way my face was looking. And I was like, I know you shot this in a different angle. He goes, I did. And I was like, can I see that angle? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, let's put that one in. And of course, he was like, I don't see anything wrong with this other one. I'm like, yeah, that's you. But I'm looking at me. I was like, being able to, it's hard for me to watch myself on film. Like, I kind of cringe because I don't like looking at myself. But it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it a lot, and I try to encompass, as many of my friends as I can and try to make it interesting and fun. If you watch Cranking Up the Crazy, it has a lot of my really good friends in it, and that was a fun video to shoot. There's a chicken in there. And I'm eating Kentucky Fried Chicken, and if you hear the song, you'll understand why. But and then you had Little Rock Famous, which we went to Nashville for, because part of the song talks about Nashville, and so we did a 2-city shoot. We did one here in Little Rock and one in Nashville, but I'm the only one in the video, which is, like I said, wasn't too keen on me being it, but it's a song about me. So he was like, you need to be the only one in it. And I was like, I don't like this. And he goes, I know you don't, but we're doing it. I was like, okay. And he comes up with some crazy ideas.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, maybe, like I said, it's got to be a lot of fun to be on those sets and all that as well too. I mean, usually it takes a couple of days for you to shoot a video like that, and yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, yeah, to have that kind of weather. I mean, I'm lucky out here in Vegas. It's been regular kind of late winter, early spring kind of weather. So kind of feel for you guys. I'm originally from Montana, so I know the idea of having a lot of snow around, but. Yeah, that's kind of crazy that,
we have all 4 seasons in one day sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, for instance, like Monday, my kids weren't still able to go to school because the roads were still icy. And Tuesday, they're able to go back to school and it's 70 degrees outside. Snowing one day, it's spring out today. So, we're all loving it. Now,
you said that you knew cello, you learned how to play piano. Any other instruments do you know how to play?
Yeah, I play drums. Part of being a dueling piano player, like I said, if you've been to the dueling piano bars right around where you live, a lot of the piano players, if they don't have a drummer, we cover the drums. And where I work, we don't have a full-time drummer. So there's a drum set. There's a bass, there's a guitar, and so when we all get up, we call it a changeover. So there's the way we do it was called a 4-way. There's 2 of us playing, and then we play an hour, and then the other 2 players come up and they play an hour, and we kind of switch off. So play an hour, off an hour, play an hour, off an hour. So one of the requirements to be a dueling piano player is you have to learn these other instruments because you're expected to cover those other instruments on what we call a changeover. So when I'm just playing with my partner across from me, a lot of times it's just piano, singing, and I do beatboxing, and I play harmonica as well. So if we do Piano Man or Last Dance with Mary Jane, I'm playing the harmonica on it to kind of accent with what's going on. But when we all get up on stage, when we're doing that changeover, when I'm coming off stage and the next team's coming up, we do a full band set. So everybody hops on an instrument. So I'm either going to be on bass, which I play, which is similar to the cello, or I'm going to be on drums. And then at the current time, I'm actually learning how to play acoustic guitar. So I'm just trying to, strengthen and include more instruments in my multi-instrumentality, I guess. So right now I play 5 instruments and I'm working on a 6th.
Okay, $1 million question. Do you have a name for your acoustic guitar?
Not yet. Not yet. It's purple. I can tell you that purple is one of my favorite colors. In my band room here at my house, where me and my band practice, everything's gray, black, white, and purple. So my guitar's purple. My couch in there's purple. And I'm about to have a piano shell made that's purple. So I don't know what I'll. Maybe I'll call her Purple Haze. I don't know yet.
Yeah, you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You said that you had needed to know other instruments when you were doing the on-stage stuff. Was drums a part of the thing where you had to kind of learn that like you did the piano?
No, so I did not know how to play drums when I started, because when you start as a dueling piano player and they're trying you out, you start off sitting in. So you started off free. Like you sit there and you're playing for free. And then they, typically will offer you a job. I started part-time and then went full-time. And as you're there, they kind of teach you. They're like, okay, well, you're going to have to learn how to play drums. And I'm like, okay, well, teach me how. What do I need to know? Just give me the basic beat. So they just start you off learning, and you're around it so much that, I'd practice after work. I ended up buying an electric drum set so that I could learn at home as well and practice to make sure I wasn't awkwardly, chunky and kerplunky on it. And now I can do fills, and I'm actually pretty good, not too shabby after doing it for 6-7 years. But, and then I learned the bass. The bass was pretty easy for me, so that was my first instrument outside of the piano when I started playing in the piano bar, was the bass, because I play cello, and it's just kind of a sideways cello. So that was easy for me to pick up. It wasn't hard for me at all. The drums is a little bit harder, but I know how to play them now, so now it's pretty easy. You just do it at a repetition, it becomes easy. Just got to get through the hard part.
Chunky and kerplunky, you got to remember that.
Kerplunk, yes. That's how I sound on the guitar right now. It's just kerplunking. My personal guitar player that plays with my band teaches me how to play. He's like, you need to learn how to play acoustic, and I've had this acoustic guitar for 2.5 years. I'm just now learning how to play it. He's like, why is it sitting here? And I was like, well, because I don't have time. He's like, get it. You're learning how to play. And I was like, all right. And so I've been, the last, week or two, I've been practicing my chords every night. And of course, he's like, the hard part's going to be you singing and playing. And of course, I looked at him. I said, I already sing and play for 3 other instruments. Like I sing and play from the piano. I sing and play from the drums. I sing and play from the bass. This singing and playing, my brain's already used to. Getting my fingers to go where they need to go. So if I can stay on the same chord, I'm good. Or I can go back and forth between the E minor and the G. I'm like, this is easy. Going from that to the D, that D chord and that F chord's killing my fingers. So I have to stop and kind of replace my fingers and then continue on.
Yeah, it takes practice and all that as well. So yeah, I mean it's
right.
My finger coordination is not the greatest in the world, or else I would love to play guitar, but I can sing pretty well, but instruments are never my forte. So I was going to ask you about the chemistry between yourself and the other piano player. I mean, obviously that's kind of a huge thing about that. You kind of almost feed off each other in terms of the energy of the room as well. Tell me a little bit about that.
So the guys that I've been playing with, I've played at 2 different bars down here. I played for Ernie Biggs for a while, and they're no longer in business. They went out of business. And right across the street was Willie D's. Ernie Biggs is where I started. I started sitting in at a place called Kings in Conway down the road from where I lived, but then they stopped doing that. They just do live music now. And like I said, then I went to Ernie Biggs, and that's where I got hired on. And so you actually, if you're like, they call me one of the cool chicks. Like, well, you're a cool chick. I don't complain about much. If they joke with something, of course, I'm a former police officer, so I just joke along with them because I've always worked around men, and the majority of the dueling piano players are men. There's not very many women in the gig. It's mostly guys. So I'm one of those guys, girls. I always have got along with guys. I grew up with a brother. I had no sisters, so it's always been easy. And then I've become really good friends with a couple makes the job way more fun, because if you know that, like, hey, I can say this on stage and he's not going to get offended, he can say this on stage and I'm not going to get offended, we just roll with it. And if you have that attitude going in, that this is a fun job. And